Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and today we have a repeat guest. Our repeat guest is Desiree Duffy, and it's that time of year again to get your books in for the BookFest Awards. So we're going to talk about that. For those of you who haven't heard Desiree before, she is the founder of Black Château, a marketing and public relations agency, Books That Make You, a Webby Award-winning multimedia brand that promotes books and authors through its website, podcast, and radio show, and the BookFest Adventure, a biannual online event uniting book lovers worldwide. She is an advocate for spreading stories. Sounds like she's a gossip, huh? A horrendous gossip. But she's really not. Her expansive marketing, event production, broadcast, and public relations background mixed with her passion for storytelling led her to found a multi-award-winning full-service marketing and public relations firm, Black Château, in 2016. Books That Make You in 2018, and the BookFest in 2020. So stay tuned. You're going to find out here why this award is important and why awards in general are important for your book and what's going on in the book world, because she's very tapped into it as well. Stay tuned for Desiree. Desiree, welcome. It's so great to have you again.
I'm happy to be here. Hi, Juliet. How's it going?
Really good. How are you? You changed your background. I think you had a different background last time too. Good for you.
I got a little sparkly. I got my disco ball back there and some of my author's books and some art and some stuff. Yeah, I love cubbies. Obviously, I love books and shelves, so I kind of had fun with this one.
Yeah, I did too. I just actually looked at a brand new house that had this second island, and the whole back of the island was cubbies, and I was like, oh, that is so cool.
Love it. Love it. Hard to clean, but fun to decorate.
Yeah, it is. And I hate to dust. It's like I don't know what's worse, cleaning the toilet or dusting, or cleaning the bathtub and dusting.
Oh, well, toilet I'll vote for on that one, but.
Okay. Well, back to books, guys.
Yes.
So tell us about the BookFest Awards. I have entered books. I've won. I think awards are a great way to get validation for your project.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons we started the BookFest Awards. So the BookFest obviously came first. We're actually coming up on our 14th BookFest because we do it twice a year. So it's been 7 years. Started in 2020 during the lockdown, and when people were looking for things to do, we did an online event. And unlike a lot of the other ones out there, we've kept it going. And one of the things that I had noticed is so many authors had books released around that time, and they didn't get the recognition. Like they weren't doing their book signings, they weren't doing the promotions that they all had planned. Everything shifted so fast. And so we decided to do the BookFest Awards, and we went back 3 years so that people who might have had a book that came out in 2020 or 2019 even can enter their books in it. And we've been going ever since. So it happens twice a year. Submissions are open right now. They end on September 15th. So the next BookFest itself happens on October 24th and 25th. So authors can submit their books. We also make it so that there's a lot of genres and a lot of subgenres. Because, Juliet, that's another thing that I noticed with a lot of the book awards that were out there is, to me, it's not fair to compete in an overarching genre or category like romance when there's so many various subgenres. It isn't fair for that supernatural or paranormal romance to be up against romantasy or a bodice ripper or something else where there's just so much variety. So we've created it so that there's lots of genres and lots of categories. So you can drill down and find something that's very specific for your book, as well as being in some of the more broader categories as well. So that's the BookFest and how it came to be. And like I said, I think that it's a lot of fun for authors, especially when we actually announce it. So people get their email notifications as well. But then during the BookFest, we play this montage, a video montage. And I think that's the moment that always gets me, because the authors, a lot of times they're in the chat and they're watching or on social media. So it's kind of like a watch party too. It really just brings you together no matter where you are in the world. And just when authors see their books up there and have that recognition, I think that's like the most magical moment for me.
Yeah, I know. I was really excited. And the way you released those, I was kind of looking on Friday night and I was like, oh, I guess I didn't win. But then I figured out how you were releasing and I was like, oh, I did. So that was right. That anticipation is always fun. So, but it's not just the book award you put on. And it's so funny because someone just came to me and they said, we want to do a book fair, but we don't know how. And I was like, watch this woman. She has the most organized events I have ever seen. So you also provide 2 days of author education, reader education. Talk about that because I don't see anybody else out there doing that.
So, as somebody who works with authors and does book promotions, PR, and marketing, to me, the most important audience, because it's all about audience when it comes to marketing, branding, etc., right? Who are you speaking to? And the audience for authors is obviously readers. So that's what the BookFest initially was. It's talk to readers about your book, the themes that are in your book, or some of the little tricks you might do in writing a mystery. I know you love and write mysteries. There's so many things where readers themselves want to get a sneak peek behind the scenes, or just hear from their favorite author, or kind of think about different genres maybe that they haven't read before. And in the process, I would get, in those early days, a lot of people from the industry saying they wanted to do a presentation about the craft of writing or the marketing or the PR or the social media. And I'm like, that's more like for a writer's conference. So you have writers' conferences, just like any industry has a conference, and you can go there and learn craft and marketing and the business side of things. So that's why we split it up, because at first it was just, let's talk to the readers. Authors want to reach readers. This is about the readers. And then we added day 2, which is more like a writer's conference, especially for the authors who might not have gone to a writer's conference before, or might be kind of new. It's almost like a transition, because let's face it, if you're a writer, if you're an author, you have to have been a reader first. A lot of times readers they segue into writing. So in many ways, the BookFest and the way it's structured with the programming and the 2 days is that bridge between the two.
Yes, it is. Now, what do you think Amazon has changed all its algorithms? Are you excited about it's kind of forcing authors to build their platforms now, which it really didn't before? Are you seeing a lot more people engaged in that, or did they even know they changed?
I think a lot of people don't know there's so much information and stuff going on in the industry right now. The zone is flooded, so to speak.
Yes.
And I do like the saying, don't build on rented land. Yeah. And whether it's Amazon and their algorithms and their changes, or Facebook, Meta, social media changes, all of these platforms come and go. At one point, TikTok was a thing, and then it almost went away, and then it came back. And, even on YouTube right now, YouTube is going through a demonetization phase. A lot of the shows that I watch and listen to on YouTube are changing and being taken down, and YouTube's going after them. So I don't want to make this about that. But the point is, whether it's Amazon or social media or whatever, keep in mind that when you have your own piece of land that you own, your own platform, because if Amazon wants to push you there or a social media site goes away, then you always have that. And whether you're using social media or email marketing or whatever ways you're using to get the word out, it still comes back to your website and what you built and what you control. And I think that's the most important takeaway that authors can have from that.
Yeah, I do too. People don't understand you don't own that Facebook group. And I actually saw someone back, like 2013, before Mark Zuckerberg decided communities were the way to go. They had thousands of people on their business page, and she's an agent. She lost visibility of all those people because overnight, and she hadn't collected them into her email server. In fact, she didn't even have an email server at that point. So it is really about getting those people educated. You need your own email server. You need that lead magnet to get people, readers in. And it's just hard to get authors to do the work. Although I am excited because more and more are getting serious about it. But let's talk a little bit about AI books, because we were just talking about that a few minutes ago. So tell us about this soulless new venture out there.
Well, okay. At this point, it's 3 years-ish that we've been doing this. And it seems like a million years. And honestly, I think that there's so much opportunity that AI brings to authors and so many businesses. It's really impacting our lives in many ways, but yet at the same time, it's almost highlighting or augmenting certain aspects of writers or the process, and maybe not in good ways. In other words, if a writer is maybe not worth their salt, or they want to take the easy way out and they rely too much on AI to help them write or produce their content or put it out in a fast manner, it shows, and it doesn't look good. In the very beginning, people weren't recognizing the AI voice because it was new. But as humans, we are really good at recognizing patterns. We can pick it up really fast. Even think of how we can pick up, oh, that voice sounds like how Barack Obama would speak, or that sounds like how Hemingway would write. We understand voice. And the thing with AI is it tends to be repetitive, and it has certain tempos and words and things that it uses. So when you read that and start recognizing it, heck, I can recognize writing between the different LLMs that are out there. In other words, I recognize how ChatGPT speaks as opposed to Grok, as opposed to Claude. Like, you can pick up on some of their idiosyncrasies. You know, it's not this, it's not that, it's this thing. Like that tempo, it rings AI. And the sad part about it is it pulls the reader out of the process. And I think some genres might be a little bit more forgiving. Some genres, or readers, I should say, too, that enjoy, or they just want to escape. It's like they just want to sit in the bubble bath and listen to something and be taken away. And that's fine. But I do worry about some of the authors who have put in so much time and energy into writing, and then they rely on that. And I feel like it's tainting their creativity, their brand as a creator.
Yeah, though that's definitely, I mean, for me, those mysteries, they're just fun to do. And the AI is great to outline. I mean, it really does get deep in the outline and keep me focused, but I can't imagine writing with AI. It would take all the fun out of it. And it's kind of, it's kind of a hobby, I guess. So I kind of use it to relax, except when I have to go back through the grammar and the rewrites. That's not very relaxing, but it does. It takes like and I think that's why a lot of really hardcore creative writers are really eschewing it, is because it does take that creativity out. And when I see something on AI, I feel like it takes the show versus tell out. It more tells instead of, the background, the scenery, the character description. It doesn't do that well because it has nothing to reference, I would think, is probably why.
That's human. That's the thing. We're putting ourselves into our characters. That character's POV is ours. Even if we're imagining it, somewhere, somehow, sometime, we had a similar experience, and we can live that on the page. And AI, it brings it to because it's predictive. It just predicts the next word. And so it brings it to a very rote or basic type of a place. But I think you're right too, because you mentioned, having it help with outlining or finding idiosyncrasies or consistencies that you might, as an author, you just don't see it. So I do absolutely think there's some great uses for AI. It's a tool as long as it's used the right way.
I use it a lot for research as well. And it's actually funny because when I sent Bad Lie off to the editor, he said, "You've got a couple things in here." And he showed me, I was like, "Oh, I was researching what is Augusta? What does this hole at Augusta look like? What is," because I wanted to describe it. So it left some, I think they're called artifacts in there, some of my research artifacts. So it is really good for research as well, because not all of us live where we write the stories about. So, we can't use our imagination, and we can use pictures, but that's about it. So tell us more about the other things you do, because you don't just have BookFest, you have all sorts of things that you do for authors.
Sure. So, okay. Black Château is the parent company, the first company that I started. And Black Château, I should say Black Château Enterprises. And under that is Black Château. And we do PR and marketing for authors. We have retainers that help them from their book launches from about 2 or 3, sometimes 4 months prior to the launch, all the way to several months afterwards. We call that the author network, and that's designed to cover the different stages, the different key points that an author needs, such as getting their advanced reviews. We put the book on NetGallery. I work with them on their branding, get their talking points, do the press release, pitch them for media interviews. We do contests and giveaways for them. Everything that really an author should be doing, and in some cases a publisher may or may not be doing. We help them with that. We have several different stages for that. And then Books That Make You was born a few years after we started Black Château as a consumer-facing brand, because authors, they want to get the word out about their books and they need to reach the readers, right? So what Books That Make You does is it has a website that's geared toward the reader. We do book reviews there. If authors need an editorial type of book review, we'll do that there. We have the Books That Make You show, or interview authors and talk about their books. And we do events as well. And I think you know this because you've been involved with this. We'll do events like during award season. If there's a gifting suite, we'll have authors there signing their books for celebrities, or we'll be at the LA Times Festival of Books, giving authors the opportunity to sign books and be at some of these high profile events. So that's what Books That Make You does. So Black Château authors a lot of times do Books That Make You promotions, and other authors and publicists and marketing folks and publishers come to Books That Make You for that. And then we have the BookFest, as mentioned, and that came about in 2020. That's the third brand. That was like the unexpected child, Juliet, because I didn't expect at that time that I was going to have a whole nother company. But it was the most delightful surprise, because like I said, we started the BookFest Awards and we do 2 days of programming and we do it online, and we help authors reach readers. And we help readers reach book. It's that thing that brings them together. So that's basically all 3 of my brands in a nutshell. And I won't tell you at this point about the 4th one that's being planned. I think that's a conversation for another day.
What is the 4th one? I can't believe you're going to run that many. That's wild. Yeah, that's a lot of work, Desiree. How big is your staff with that many? 'Cause I got to tell you guys, I am always stunned by how smoothly, like, they put out a schedule and it's boom, 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 boom. That schedule, as far as I can see, never gets off. So you're never disappointed as someone who consumes the information, because it's not, oh, we had a glitch and it's 20 minutes late, and then the whole thing's late. So how many people run all of this?
A very small staff. I mean, we're a boutique agency. We have about 10 at any given time. So, and I got to give credit where credit's due. During lockdown, my husband, who worked in theatrical distribution, basically making sure the movies and content into theaters or got onto platforms, well, his job didn't last very long. And so I got that technical know-how. And even just setting up that first book fest, I thought I was going to be doing a go to webinar-ish type thing, because that's what I had experience doing. He's like, no, we can do it this way. So fortunate, our website developer, I poached him from the last corporate job that I had. And he's amazing. He can build the infrastructure. And I learned early on, just, have good people. I tried, I think, like a lot of folks do and authors will do. There's a lot of firms out there that'll do website design and development for pennies on the dollar, but then a lot of times you're working with people that are offshored and they don't necessarily understand the nuances of what you're trying to say and do and the technical aspects of it. Being able to compute or communicate, I should say, in a way I speak so that the technical people can understand it and bring it to life, that's really important. And just, the team behind the scenes, we have Kim, who's our event coordinator, and she's the one with that schedule, by the way, and organizing and setting everything up on the calendar. So I just got to throw the props out to having a team that works well and just making sure that everybody understands the vision. I don't know about you, but when I worked in the corporate world, what always got to me is there was something going on. We had a meeting and we were doing this. We shifted our focus and all these things were happening and we were expected to just do the thing that you need to do. This is your job. Do that thing. I like to be transparent, not only with the public, but with our team too. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing the BookFest Awards and changing our focus. So if they understand the concept behind it, then everything else falls into place and makes sense. So I don't know. That's, I guess, how we do it.
I haven't been in corporate America since 1994, I think. It's been so long and I never missed it again. It is. Yeah, you get in that niche where you have that one little job you do. And I think that is the hardest thing when people try to start a business is they've had that one little thing. They got a paycheck, because I remember this from real estate. There were so many people who got themselves in tax trouble because they didn't understand that now you have both sides. And now you're the person who has to go clean the bathroom. There's something with toilets going on today, but if the toilet overflows, you're in charge of it because you own this business now. So there are all these little jobs that people don't understand in the background that happen when you're an entrepreneur and doing everything that needs to be done. And by the way, Kim is amazing. She always gets back to people like that. When I've had her work with my clients, your press release team was the same way. They were just right on top of it. A lot of our award winners did press releases, or a couple of them did with you. So got a very smooth going machine. So if somebody wants to get into the BookFest and puts their award in, what should they realistically expect in terms of exposure, credibility, or sales impact?
So when you go to, and it's just thebookfest.com and you can see the BookFest Awards up there. So understand that it takes time because we review all of these books. We have the BookFest bellwethers who are like an advisory type board, and they also help with the BookFest judging. We bring in experts though. It's interesting because we have a lot of children's books. And we feel that the best judges of children's books are children. We actually have children that will be, a lot of times the books are read to them, but then the mother takes down their thoughts and comments. So we keep in mind, I think, and I think that's the thing is just keep in mind that we're doing this in such a way that makes sure that whether you enter a children's book or maybe the category you pick is for the technical aspects of your book or the book cover, we have artists, actual designers that will judge that. And if there's some kind of websites, for example, that's where we'll pull in. I mentioned our website developer. So we have a team that will do that. I get poetry. by the way, just so you know. I get most of the poetry books that I judge. So we divvy it out that way, and we bring in the bellwethers, especially because of the fact that we have clients and we have people that we know in the industry. And if I see a book where I know the person, it's like, oh, I need a bellwether to judge this one. So we make sure that it's all done the right way. And then just be patient. Wait for the process, wait for that announcement. Keep in mind that we do email everybody, and it's an automated system, and there's literally hundreds of people who have submitted. No, not everybody wins. This is not an automatic, you get a trophy. So keep in mind that, you can always try next time, and that if you do win, we'll let you know through email, and then again through the montage. We feature the bestseller or the first place BookFest award winners that way. And then, like you mentioned, we'll offer the ability to shout it out, because that's the other thing that's really hard for authors is, okay, I won an award, now what do I do? Right. Share it on social media. We make sure that you got graphics and things that you can use for that. And you can share that montage as well. You can get stickers. You can order stickers to put on the book, on the physical book, if you would like to, as well as a placard. And there's actual physical awards you can order. So we make sure that there's things that you can get, like that press release as well. So you can shout it out, because if you don't have an account with a press release firm, it's really hard to get that started. So we try to make a lot of those steps really easy for folks. So I think that a lot of authors are like, okay, I got this award. Now what do I do with it? Not only do we make it easy for them, but then you or, the publisher or the folks that might be working with them, share it on social media. Make sure that your friends see this award, because it's a little bit of a humble brag moment, but it matters.
Yeah.
And you deserved it. And again, it goes back to that recognition. Julia, I know so many authors who will be like, you know what? I couldn't even get my sister to read my book.
Oh.
Or, yeah, right? You've heard that. You know what I'm talking about.
Actually, I'll tell you, when I wrote my very first book back in 2009, I used to walk with my best friend every day. And I'd be like, have you read the book? Have you read the book? And finally, about a month in, she's like, Juliet, I'm not going to read your book. And I was like, what? And she's like, if it sucks, I have to tell you, and then it's going to impact our friendship. So I'm not going to read it. And I was like, what kind of friend are you? That just impacted our friendship. Yeah, it is really hard to get people to read it. Interestingly enough, and I know my audience is sick of hearing this, but the other day I was listening to a podcast, and Buck Sexton, who has an audience of millions, was on a podcast talking about how hard it is to sell books. And he has millions of followers. And I really thought about, and what about the rest of us who, have 30 friends, or, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's important for the authors to get that moment where they have that recognition, because we spend as writers years crafting this book, and you're bearing your soul. It's like giving birth. You've had this child, and to have nobody look at your child can be just devastating. So that's part of the idea behind the BookFest Awards.
Sometimes when you get reviews, I remember back in, I think it was 2008, somebody called one of my books. They said, this is a fantastic story, but who edited it? A monkey? And I had an editor who told me she was a New York Times bestselling editor, and it turned out that she was really bad. But it was devastating. It was almost like somebody, like your carriage is there, they lift up the blanket and they go, oh, your baby's ugly. It is really devastating. That's what I felt like. Oh, my baby's ugly. But I'm a much better writer now.
Well, and you learn that. And that's the thing, especially with new writers, they can take a few notes and just learn, because you have that story. I've heard many stories just like that. It's not unusual. Don't feel like, oh my God, this happened to me and I'm the only one. It happens. And it just goes to underscore the importance of not just having one editor. No. Not just relying on AI to be an editor. Sure, I can help you with some things and might be a good beta type reader. But there are certain folks you need to pull in And sure, you can get your eighth grade English teacher to be your editor. They're not your only editor. Don't. I don't care how great you think they are. They're not in the publishing industry. And if you get some flim-flammer in there that's, gonna feed you or sell you a bill of sale, you need somebody else to have those checks and balances. We're too close as writers to our writing. We can't look at it and find those little inconsistencies or grammar errors. I don't know how you suggest doing it, and there's, no right answer, but I think that 2, 3, 4 beta readers. Sure, if you want to get your Aunt Mary in there or your cousin or your eighth grade English teacher, they could maybe be 1 or 2 of them. But there's professional beta readers. You want somebody who is going to give you their honest opinion. And then developmental editing, looking at the big picture, the plot structure, story, all of that, making sure it's all coalescing. Then you probably want a line editor. Be careful of the folks who say, I'm going to do all the forms of editing. I'm not saying that they can't. I don't want to yuck their yum and say, no, you're wrong. I've just seen so many that say that, but they themselves are blind to some of their own errors. Then after a line edit, which literally just goes line by line, then comes the copy editing. A lot of times people think that editing means copy editing, but there's other steps before you even get there. If you try to rush into that copy editing before you have a good developmental edit, or before you get some impact from real readers and real professional beta readers, you're just setting yourself up, because at that point, they can go through and fix the syntax and the grammar and everything. But if you got a structural change that you then need to make, you're just going back and you're going to get into that endless loop. And even then, at the very end, to have a final proofing, to have a final person that doesn't know squat about your book. They haven't been there. They weren't your developmental editor, because they can look at it and be like, oh, I found this little error. Somebody missed it. And don't be mad. I get authors that are like, can you believe my copy editor missed 5 things and my proof editor got it? I'm like, do you know that even books that are put out on the market by the big 4 publishers, on average, have 7 mistakes in them, 7 typos on average. So, if you give yourself a little bit of grace as well, and give some of your editors a little bit of grace as well. Sometimes there are errors, and if you catch them, great. You can always re-upload the manuscript and everything. But I can't stress enough the importance of going through that process as a writer to make sure that the book is the best that it can be. Because I'm over here, Juliet, doing the marketing and promotion. And when authors ask me, what is the thing that I can do to ensure the success of my book's marketing? And I'm like, give me a good book.
Yeah.
It's the product. I can lead, I have a whole thing on this. I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make them drink. I can lead readers to your book. I can't force them to buy it. There's marketers out there that will force the buys, and that's a whole nother discussion. Be careful of those folks. But that book has to grab them. What's inside your story? It needs to grab their attention in order to get them to buy it.
Yeah, it definitely does. The other thing that I've found is people will say, well, I put it through Microsoft. And Microsoft I put it through to get it straightened up, but then it goes to the editor, because I think most authors are like this. They have consistent mistakes that they just make all the time. And, I know what mine are, and I've never been able to correct them. And I must not be too interested in correcting them, because I haven't. But don't rely on Microsoft either, because that is a suite that's made for business. It's not made for fiction dialogue. It's not made for storytelling. It's not made for any of that. And I find that I see them, I sort of lurk in this Facebook group. I never say anything. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to critique because I own this type of business. But I just see them talking in there about the things they're doing. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to just get out of Facebook before I explode, because that's not going to work on it. Yeah. You mentioned having your beta readers. I actually have an ARC team of about 30 people. that I'm using. And I only have, out of that 30, I have 3 people that are family members. That's it. And the reason I do that is because people and the family members, and I tell them going into it, I'm like, you have to be brutally honest. I don't want smoke blown up my behind. If it's bad, I need to know it's bad. But I think for the most part, when your mom reads it or your Aunt Sally, they're going to be hesitant to tell you that there were problems with it because they don't, they're family, they're connected. They don't want to hurt your feelings. And I always tell my ARC readers, like, hey, ARC readers, that's sort of redundant, but my ARCs, you guys, I need you to be brutal with me. Like, I want you to tear it apart like a real reader will, especially with the plot, because if there are plot holes, it ruins the whole book.
Yeah, exactly. And even on the flip side of that, if you get your loved ones to read your book and they give you feedback and it's glowing, then inside you're wondering, oh, they are just blowing smoke, aren't they? It's not sincere. So in a way, you really have to, I love the fact that you only have a couple, because those are people that you really know are going to be honest and be brutal if they need to. Because as an author, either way, you might not get what you want or be suspicious of what you got. It's like, if you're sitting there going, geez, Aunt Mary said it was the best book she ever read. Aunt Mary must be lying. So where are you? That doesn't help anyone.
I actually had someone the other day tell me that AI told them how good their book was. And I was like, oh, okay.
I've had that.
I was like, did you train your AI? Like, does your AI really critique it? I would be really hesitant of having AI tell me whether my book was good or not.
Here's the thing, too, getting back to that AI conversation. It feeds into what we want. It knows that. It's been programmed that way. And that's one of the real dark sides of it, too, because it sounds nice to have somebody that's always going to be cheerleading and on your side. But if you give it your book and it tells you that it's great, if you really want to do that, authors, I'm not saying don't do it. It's, might be kind of fun, and it's another way to get a beta reader to get the feedback, but tell it, make sure you say, I need you to take on the role of the most persnickety and detail-oriented editor working for Penguin Random House, and tell me honest feedback. Force it to give you honest feedback. I've had it too, Juliet. Actually, I've had it more than one occasion. I had an author once send me his 200,000 word-ish manuscript that was kind of historical fiction and a bunch of other things. It was very convoluted, interesting. I'm not saying it wasn't a great concept. And when I was basically going back to him with some basic feedback, like, hey, this is too long, and you spend too much time in the opening just setting the stage and building the scene. It's too much telling and not enough showing. Basic stuff, real basic stuff. He came back and he's like, this is what ChatGPT showed me. And he starts emailing me his chats. I'm like, I don't want to read through what ChatGPT said. And even then I was reading it and ChatGPT was like, on a score out of, 0 to 100, I give this a 79 at this point, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's even kind of telling you in a nice way that this book needs some work. So I agree. I caution authors to be very careful with what it might be saying. If you need that ego boost, if you had a hard day and you want to, have somebody tell you something good, but don't take it to heart that way. You need humans. We need humans editing and reviewing our books and reading our books. That's what it's all about.
Yes, it definitely is. Well, where can we find you if we have more questions and if we want to enroll in the BookFest?
All right, BookFest first. Submissions are open now for the BookFest Awards. That ends on September 15th. And you can go to thebookfest.com and you see right there up on the top where it has the awards, and you can click there and you can submit your book that way. And then when the BookFest happens on October 24th and 25th, you can find out if you are a winner. And even if you don't enter and you're a writer who wants to learn more about the industry and craft and the business side of things, and even get insights into the reader's world, join us for the BookFest. It's free to watch. There's no webinar type thing. We make it very accessible because it airs on our YouTube channel, on our Books That Make You YouTube channel. We have a section for the BookFest on the actual BookFest website. It's right there on the homepage. A lot of people are like, where do I go? It's like, just go there. And you can watch and hang out with us. We also air it on like Facebook and X sometimes too, but that's like the main hub for it. And watch and hang out. You can subscribe to be a BookFester. That way you get the BookFest email alerts and you get notices when we do send out the call for speakers and ideas, because authors a lot of times want to speak and talk about their books to, the readers, or to other writers. So there's lots of ways that you can get involved as well, because ultimately the BookFest is a community. That's what it's founded on. So become a BookFester. You can subscribe. I promise we don't spam you. We don't send you things that you don't need on a regular basis. We try to make it so that you get, information about the BookFest itself and any special news and information that's going on. So that's the best way and the easiest way to get involved for the BookFest. If you're interested in PR and marketing for your book, find us at blackchateauenterprises.com. And if you want to contact me, that's the easiest way, because there's a form there. And you can just click the Let's Talk button and reach out to me. You can see more about some of the services that we offer. And as well, if you want to get a book review or get involved with, some of the things that we're doing over at the Books That Make You, you can go to booksthatmakeyou.com and find out about the Books That Make You show and all that fun stuff. And subscribe too. We have a Webby, that's our Webby Award up there. We have a Webby Award winning Books That Make You newsletter that people can subscribe to as well.
Yes, you do. I try to share your articles as much as I can on our newsletter as well, so people can find you. Thank you very much for taking the time and sharing this today. And I'm going to be entering in this one again. I thoroughly enjoyed the guests last time. And, you don't have to stay there the whole day if it's not your thing. There is a schedule. Like I said, they stay right on it. And I sort of dip in and out when if there's something I want to know more about. So, but it's a very great event. So, Desiree, thank you.
It's recorded too. I'll just add really quick, since you mentioned it, it's recorded too. So if you go to the programming page and you want to see past BookFest recordings, the videos are all curated and stored right there, as well as on YouTube. So you can go back and watch them. And it's all free. I've had people say, I've gone to writers' conferences and spend X amount of money, and the information I'm getting here is free and actually better than some of the information they got there.
I would agree. And I'll tell you that event that we went to, that you invited me to in Las Vegas, I was so overwhelmed by everything that was going on there. I never really go to those types of things. So, it is sort of more comfortable to do it at your own pace, on YouTube when you feel like doing it, instead of just being, oh my gosh, look at all these people here and I'm a hermit, I'm antisocial.
And that's a lot of writers, right? We want to kind of stay in our little cubby and, not socialize unless we have to. And that's part of it as well.
Yeah, I think it is too. Thank you very much.
Juliet, thank you. I appreciate it.